here. We missed last week because of the holiday, and this is the networking webinar. Brought to you by I Take the Lead. James is on the call. Hey, James, how are you?
Hey, Becky, how are you? Sorry, I couldn't get in on my computer. I'm on my phone.
Oh, really? Well, we can see you. We can hear you just fine. So James, this is Steve. We're glad to have you here.
Hi, Steve.
Leo says, let's get this show on the road, smarty. Okay, well, great. Welcome. This is the networking webinar from I Take the Lead, and I'm Becky Tangwall. I'm in the Portland area. Steve, where are you at? Are you in Mill Creek or?
I'm in the Seattle area, up in Bellevue.
Bellevue. Oh, you're in Bellevue. Okay, Bellevue, Washington, and then James Klingensmith out of Denver, Colorado. So we're glad to have you all here. Anyway, we're going to start. Steve Porter is one of our presenters in the Seattle area, and I had an opportunity to hear him one time. I know he loves to help small business owners become successful, and he does that primarily through their marketing. He has a variety of different services that he offers. I was kind of looking online at you today, but he owns, is it just called Snap, Steve?
Yeah.
Snap Marketing. And Steve's going to, Jamie says, this is Jamie from Longmont, Colorado. Happy to be here today.
Hi, Jamie.
And Lynn from Las Vegas is here as well. So very nice. Just as a reminder, as we get going, feel free to ask questions. Either James or I will when the timing's right, we'll let Steve know what your questions are. And then we should have some time at the end as well for some questions. So Steve is sharing a free worksheet right there, if you could see that. Right, that came from you, right, Steve?
Yeah.
Okay,
yep.
Good. And so, James, did you have anything you want to say before we turn it over to Steve?
No, I'm excited. Did you have your PowerPoint, Becky?
Did I what?
Have your PowerPoint.
Oh, no, I wasn't doing it today.
All right, do you mind if I say something?
Oh, no, not at all.
I Take the Lead is probably the best organization out there. We really have groups all throughout the nation. You go all the way from Denver, Colorado to the Springs, up to Oregon to Washington. Some of the kindest and nicest people you'll ever meet. Just absolutely amazing. Come and join a meeting. How's that, Becky?
Perfect. Thanks, James. I appreciate that. And you're right. Our members are the best, so thank you. So, Steve, you want to go ahead and take it over at this point?
Sure.
I'll let you introduce yourself. I got to put my silence on.
I was afraid that was my phone going. I'm glad. Well, I was talking with Becky about what would probably be the best way to use this time, and I've done a presentation on how to do an elevator pitch. And if you're like me, and as they say, I know I am, you go to a lot of networking meetings. You've heard a lot of 30-second pitches, and maybe you've heard a lot of 30-second pitches that weren't very good. The ones where they go around the room and everybody. Becky disappeared. I hope the rest of you can still see me and hear me. Okay.
We can all see you.
Cool. So, you've heard somebody stand up and start to talk, and if you look around the room, you can see the eyes kind of start to glaze over. You go around 3 or 4 people, and you might have a hard time remembering who the last person was, much less 3 or 4 back. Now, that's not maybe all that big of a problem until you realize if there's 10, 15 people in the room, you have the opportunity to talk about your business to that 10 or 15 people. But they also say that each of us knows anywhere from 10 to 20 other folks who could share with us, who could share what they know with other people. So if you're talking to a group of 15 and they could each potentially share you with 10 more, that's 150 people right there in that room every time. And so actually, giving your elevator pitch, your 30-second pitch, is probably one of the most powerful things that it can have you, that you can do as a small business person. As a matter of fact, if you get good at your 30-second pitch, that's going to carry over into basically every other aspect of your business, because you'll have a message that you can share, that you can use on your website, on brochures, every place you talk. So actually being able to boil your message down into that 30-second pitch is, like I say, it's probably one of the most important things that you can do. And so I am going to start our presentation here. And I do have a worksheet that is available, and you will see that at the bottom of the slide. So.
Oh, okay, good.
So. Start. So you should see that down at the bottom. Get your free worksheet, and it's a bit.ly address.
Okay. Yep. I see it. And then I'll be sending out in the MailChimp tonight, and I'll go ahead and send that out to everybody as well.
Cool.
Yeah. So
hopefully, if you got a piece of paper or something, you'll probably want to follow along, and take some notes for yourself, because what we want to do is tell your story in a way that is clear, it's concise, it's compelling, it's memorable, and do that in 30 seconds or less. I mean, Seth Godin said not long ago, no one ever bought anything in an elevator. I mean, when was the last time you were riding around in an elevator with somebody, heard a pitch, and decided to buy something? I don't know about you, but this is probably more what most elevator rides I've taken look like. So if the reason, if you're not actually going to sell anything, in most cases in 30 seconds, what is the reason for giving an elevator pitch? What's the purpose? Well, it's not to be clever. I don't know about you, but I think clever is kind of exhausting. And there's a lot of people who work really hard at being, coming up with a very clever 30-second pitch. And the problem is, even if you hit something that's clever, which can be tough sometimes, of course, we run the risk of just turning people off. Coming off as too polished, too salesy, not all that interesting. So the next thing, of course, is it's not about selling. Nobody really wants to buy anything on the basis of a 30-second pitch. The purpose of an elevator pitch is to start a conversation, and this is absolutely key. It's probably the most important thing in this whole presentation. If you do nothing more than just simply start a conversation with somebody, your 30-second pitch has met its purpose, met its goal. Because believe it or not, there really are people in the world who want to discover how you can help them. They want to know the gift that you have to offer. So do the world a favor. Tell us clearly, and a way we'll remember how and who you help. Because the world is waiting. I'm not sure who it is, but we've got somebody with a microphone that's open where we're getting lots of breathing.
That's me. Hold on.
And stuff. So,
got it.
Okay. See, your prospects really only care about what's relevant to them. They want to know how you are different, how you stand out from the crowd. They're listening to everybody's favorite radio station, which is What's in It for Me.
That's true.
Yeah, they want to. Everybody is thinking in terms of that. What do you got for me? Why should I care? And what's even worse is you've only got 3 to 9 seconds to grab their attention before they decide if you're even worth listening to. 3 to 9 seconds, something in that range. And if you think if you're not sure you believe me about that, I would challenge you to just pay attention to the eyes in the next time you're someplace where somebody is giving a 30-second pitch. That's how fast you've got to work to try to catch their attention. So what is it your listeners want to know? Because you're busy talking, they're waiting to hear something. They're waiting to hear 4 specific things. People want to know, who are you and what do you do? They want to know what problems you solve and who do you solve those for. They want to know, how are you different? And then they want to know, why should I even care? It's pretty simple. Who are you? What do you do? What problems do you solve? For whom? How are you different? Why should I care? But the thing is, you need to know something too. You need to know, what you need to know is what you want your listeners to remember. Now, maybe that seems obvious, but there's a lot of times when I've been working with people on their 30-second pitch, and I ask them this question, they're not really sure. They give me a blank stare in their eyes, do the triple blink kind of thing. Well, what do you mean? What do you want them to remember? What do you want them to know? You want them to do something after they leave, right? What is it that you want them to do? If you're going to stand up and talk to somebody, there's no reason to do that unless you want to change something, unless you want action to happen. So if you're talking to a group of people and this is a business conversation, what is it you want them to do? So do you know what you want your listeners to remember and what you want them to do? Good question. Okay, so let's create your pitch. You want to answer your listeners' questions, and you want to do that preferably in a single sentence.
Hey, Steve, can I interrupt you real quick? You're still on the first slide. Is that where you want to be?
No, I've been clicking through. And
that's what I thought. Yeah, that's what's shown is the first slide. Right, James?
That's right. Can we try something here real quick, Steve?
Yes.
All right. Right up on top, you see where that green arrow is in the box?
The screen share?
Yeah, if you move around your box, you see screen share, right? You might have to exit out of the screen that you're in now.
It says you are screen sharing.
Okay, now we see who are you and who do you work for.
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of figured we missed a bunch of slides.
Yeah, you did. So I had it set. So there it is.
Yeah.
Hey, when you hit that screen share again, the neat thing about it is if you actually hit that, and if you do the entire screen instead of just your PowerPoint, it'll come up as your entire screen, and then when you make it big, it should make it big. Go ahead and try that. But this is great stuff. Becky, I'm learning a lot. I love this.
Oh, I know.
All right, now perfect. So go ahead and open that PowerPoint.
Well, the PowerPoint has been opened.
And now go ahead and make it. Go ahead and push play. There you go. You're good to go. Way to go, bud.
No, we see you, James. Now we see me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It's because I was talking. Okay, very good. Now I see it. Thank you. Thanks, Thanks, Steve. Thanks,
Well,
James.
thanks for letting me know. Weird. Okay, so the first question that people have is, who are you and who do you work for? I mean, you want to tell people that quickly, because honestly, your listeners probably don't care. I mean, really, at least they don't care yet. You're going to make them care. So, I just changed slides.
Right. Yep, we got it. What problems
All
are
right.
you passionate about solving?
So, who are you? Who do you work for? What problems are you passionate about solving? This is what really it's all about. And if you can see that the slide, there's a mouse there who figured out how to handle the maze. He's just going to chew right through it. For a lot of our clients, they're facing problems that are like that maze for them. And there's no reason to hire somebody, which is what they're going to do if they're going to work with you, if you're not going to solve a problem for them. And if you can't look at that maze like that mouse did and say, I know how to handle that, and chew right through it, you know, what are you doing? How can you help them? So your listeners want to know, what do you care about? Are you excited about what you do? Phrase your description in terms of the results and the value they're going to experience by working with you, not what you think is so cool, what your listeners think is cool. Remember, we all decide in just 3 to 9 seconds whether we're interested in the person who's talking and what they're telling us. So you've got to capture their interest fast, and the best way to do that is to talk about the benefits that your listeners or your ideal clients experience by working with you. What pain are you going to help them get rid of? I was playing football in high school, and was playing safety, and there's a running play up the middle, and I still remember standing in the backfield, you know, on the defensive side, and seeing this almost like the offensive line part. And I'm sorry, we got somebody playing with paper, and it's coming over the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was me.
You know, I saw the offensive line part. I see the runner coming right at me, so I run at him, dive at him. He kneed me in the head as I went in, and so I went down. They told me that I was probably unconscious as soon as I hit the ground. And 2 guys on the offensive side who were engaged blocking tripped over me and landed on my leg and broke it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was not fun. And if any of you have ever had an injury like that, you know there's only really one thing at that point that kind of consumes all of your mind and all of your attention, and that is, how do we make this pain stop? If you are talking to a group of people, and one or more of them are your ideal clients, and they're experiencing the kind of pain and the kind of problem that you could help them with, you want them to respond to that. You want them to their eyes to light up and their face to come up when they hear you talking about what you do, because you can make the pain stop. What is it you do that is going to be that powerful for people? So here's some things that might help you be interesting and memorable as you're talking about what you do.
I like it.
What's your big idea? I do marketing for small businesses. I don't think marketing should be a challenge or something that gets in the way of small business owners being successful. But for a lot of small business owners, they say that marketing is one of their biggest frustrations with running their business. I want to simplify it. I want to take that worry off of their plate. I don't want them to have to worry about getting ripped off or getting inferior services or products from people. What is it you do? What's your big idea? How are you better? How are you different? What are you passionate about? Because remember, your prospects and people who might refer you to other people are attracted by your enthusiasm. They're attracted by your passion. by your professionalism. Those are the things that are contagious. Those are the things that build trust with your audience. You've probably heard that people buy you as much as what you do. So don't overdo it, but don't be afraid to make obvious what you love about working with your clients. After all, if you're not excited about what you're going to do with them, why should they be excited? Here's some examples that I've come up with over the years. What I'm passionate about in working with my clients is just tell them. I love it that my clients experience fill in the blanks. It's exciting and incredibly satisfying for me when my clients, hopefully you're getting the idea. Just go ahead and tell them. Use an attention grabber. To do that. Something that is going to compel them to wake up, to pay attention, and want more information from you. For example, I mean, a couple of years ago, I worked for a group that did TV ads, and most people who hadn't been in the industry had no idea that it would be possible to get on television for it as inexpensive as we could do it for folks. And I would just start conversations by asking, did you know that you can advertise on a major TV network in prime time for as little as $2? And people they'd look at me like I thought I was pulling their leg, or trying to pull a fast one on them. I did a lot of cold calling, where cold calling in the sense of walking in off the street and talking to businesses. And in fact, I would walk right by no solicitor signs on a fairly regular basis. I never got kicked out because I would walk in and I would use this kind of attention grabber that would just be a natural start for a conversation. I heard a professional organizer once say, I help busy executives never have to waste time again wondering where they lost their car keys. I know a graphic artist who works with businesses and branding who says, I'm on a mission to stamp out ugly. Join me. So what's your tagline? What can you tell people you do that might cause them to, sit up, take notice, and go, oh, cool, tell me a little bit more?
Steve, let's ask a few people out there in the chat. Why don't you put your tagline in the chat as well?
Oh, good idea.
Oh, I'm trying to go back here. Okay. All right, so don't be afraid to use an attention grabber. Next thing that really helps make people pay attention is to quantify what you do. Most of us, if we thought about it, we could come up with a way of measuring the benefit that our customers experience. Now, a lot of times we haven't given it much thought, or we think that this is going to be really tough. But I tell you, if you can talk about dollar figures, if you can talk about pounds lost, if you can talk about money saved, money made, whatever your business is involved with, your clients, your customers definitely have a way to measure that. So why not talk about the things that you do using the kinds of measurements that that are important to them to measure how successful something is. So, for example, I'll just talk about my own business. My customers typically are getting new clients within 30 days.
Oh, wow, okay.
They're typically experiencing, email campaigns that are producing new prospects every time they send one out. They're experiencing 10 to 20% higher conversion rates off of their website, etc. So what is it you do? What do you produce for people? Can you tell us a dollar sign, a percentage, an increase, a decrease, or whatever it is? Assuming that your product or service is great, you should be able to help us understand how great it is. So quantify it. The next thing you want to do is you want to leave some sort of accurate, descriptive memory hook sticking in their minds, because most people, obviously, they're not going to be ready to buy from you today. and even they might not even be all that great of a prospect for you. For example, let's say you sell reverse mortgages. Well, you can only sell reverse mortgages to people who I think are 62, 64. What if you handled Medicare insurance? Again, 62, 64 years old at that point, before they can become one-year clients. So everybody who's sitting in the room probably won't be able to take advantage of what you do, but they might know somebody. How are they? And if you're in one of those fields where there's a lot of competition, if you go to many networking groups, there's always a real estate broker, right? There's always a financial planner. There's usually some people in the health industry. How do you differentiate yourself from those people so that the people who are sitting there in the room listening to you remember you, as opposed to the other insurance brokers they know? Well, leave a memory hook. Leave something that's going to stick in their minds to help remember who you are, what you do, who you work with. And this is key. This is what's going to actually make you more money probably off your elevator pitch than anything else, especially if you want them to be able to give you as a referral to somebody later. And you do want them to give you a referral, right? So the
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. The best memory hooks are visual. You know the old cliche, picture's worth 1,000 words. Our brains tend to think and operate in terms of pictures. I mean, which ones of the two things there on that slide are more attractive to you? The ice cream cone on the left, or the verbal description on the right?
The ice cream cone.
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. All of a sudden, you look at that and you go, oh, I know exactly what they're talking about, and your brain perceives it, just that fast by looking at the picture. That's the way we are designed to interact with the world primarily. So if you can give people that kind of picture, an image from nature, a physical object that everybody's familiar with, whatever it is, something that they run across on a regular basis, that picture is going to be a lot more likely to stick in their mind, and they'll associate you with it. For example, I knew a lady once, and she was actually involved with I Take the Lead, who was a massage therapist, and when she shared her elevator pitch, she would say, I'm kind of like a human pain reliever, kind of like a human Tylenol. And it got to the point where she would stand up to talk, and people in the room would start chuckling, and I asked why once, because I thought I knew the answer, and I did. It's because as soon as she got up, everybody was picturing, a Tylenol capsule.
Yeah.
Well, we might go, well, I don't know if I want to be thought of like that, but you know what? That's stuck in people's minds.
Yeah.
The next time somebody has a sore neck, shoulder, joint problem, whatever, just overstressed and could use a massage, guess who they're thinking of? So being able to leave that hook is really powerful. Now you'll notice if you watch advertisements, or 30-second ad, it's kind of like on TV, it's kind of like a 30-second pitch, right? They are almost always trying to associate some sort of image, some sort of picture with what it is their product does. This is really, really powerful. I had another client that I worked with who had a business that was a marketing service, and his slogan, his tagline was, we're like a faucet that allows you to control the flow of new clients. And he would make the motion of turning a faucet on or off when he did that. Stuck in people's minds. I'm like a guide through the jungle of marketing your small business. What do you like? Are you a bridge? Are you a breath of fresh air? Are you a power tool? I don't know. What can you say what you do is kind of like? You can get as you think about those kind of metaphors or analogies, don't get too crazy. Don't try to get too creative. You don't want to have the people give the response of either being confused or kind of rolling their eyes. How funny is that?
Yeah.
But if you hit on one, this is very, very cool. All right. Next thing people want to know: how do you get results? How are you different? So this is a great place to use your power statement or your unique selling proposition, your USP, or value statement. Tell us what makes you different, especially if you're in one of those businesses where there's a lot of people. It's a crowded field. There's a lot of people doing what you do in the networking world. What sets you apart? You can deliver this along the lines of saying something like, I'm able to get these results, the results that I get for people, by or because I, then fill in the blank. What you want to do is you want to give that thought, you want to plant that thought in your ideal prospects' minds that these are the things that you do that your competitors can't say. It's what makes you distinct, what makes you unique. So, do not talk about quality, service, or price. And when I say that, people go, what? What's left to talk about? If I can't talk about the quality, the service, or the price, well, why do you think that might not be a good thing to talk about?
Because the competitors could lower their price, or they could do the same thing. Is that why?
Well, that would be part of it, sure.
What about everybody can point out those features? Because they're just features. Everybody can point out those quality, price, and anything else like that. It's not unique.
Right. That's the biggest thing. You want to differentiate yourself. You want to set yourself apart. And everybody else talks about quality, service, and price. Besides, we all get tons of sales pitches, right? We get tons of every day. We get 1 million of them. We're used to hearing sales pitches. We're used to evaluating them, and most of us are pretty jaded about that. You know what? When you just talk about your quality, service, or price, it's just talk. The people who are listening to you have no way of knowing whether or not you actually are able to deliver on what you talk about. And besides, like we said, everybody else talks about that. So it's just your promise, and you're playing the same game that everybody else is. I can almost guarantee you it's not going to get you any attention. Differentiate yourself in a way that's interesting and believable to your prospects. How do you do business in ways that are different from your prospects? How are you, or from your competition? How are you different? How is your company? It might be your company that is different. And if sometimes people say, I'm a little stuck on this because I'm an insurance broker. What I do is it's pretty similar to every other insurance broker. I'm an accountant who has been a client of mine who had that same question. We accountants aren't really known for being all that different. We're kind of more like the elephants on either side of that picture than we are like the one in the middle. And I said, well, okay, why don't you try talking to some of your clients who kind of fit into that ideal customer category? Talk to some of your favorite clients and ask them why they like you, why they stick with you. And what he found out is there was a lot of things that people liked about him, and they tended to be personal qualities as well as his professional competence. Of course, if you're hiring an accountant, somebody who can keep your books straight is important. But how is that different from every other accountant? Well, this guy, Chuck, he's very personable, actually. He's not your typical accountant in that way. He's highly responsible. He's very knowledgeable about the field or about the areas that he knows about. He's not at all hesitant to say, if I don't know something, I'll either learn it or I will even send a client to another accountant who can serve them better. Those are all things that most people, those are the experiences that they haven't had typically with other accountants. And once he began to understand what it was and the kinds of reasons that real people were really actually liking him and working with him on a regular basis, he realized that he can start talking about that. If you get really great results for people, how do you do it? How can you tell us that in one sentence? For example, I work with people with small businesses one-on-one to provide them with coaching, contracting, and connections to help their marketing plans generate what they need them to do. What do you do? The other thing that people are asking, your audience is waiting to find out, is who's your favorite customer? What's your favorite? When you see when one of those signs up with you, you look like the chipmunk there. Wahoo! If you could get most of your clients, to be like your current favorites, most of us would be a whole lot happier. As long as you're going out and you're going to do marketing anyway, as long as you're going to tell people about what you do anyway, why not look for people who are more like your favorites? So tell me, who's your favorite client and what do you do for them? Now, if you can tell the people sitting around the table at a networking meeting that, they can you're helping them to decide whether or not they fit that prospect, that profile. But if they get a good picture in their minds of who your ideal, who your favorite customer is, then they can kind of go through their mental Rolodex and think about who they know who might need you. And if you do a good job with this, you might have seen what I've seen. If somebody gets up and they give a great example of a 30-second or an elevator pitch, and it keys something in the minds of a couple of people who are sitting there listening, and they're whipping out a piece of paper, writing down the speaker's contact information, or making a note so that they can put somebody they know in touch with that person later. Isn't that cool? You get done with your pitch, and you've got hot prospects.
That's way cool.
That's very cool. So let your audience know who you're looking for. Who's your favorite customer? If you're giving a 30-second pitch, you don't really have time to give more than just a one-sentence description. If you got a minute, you might be able to do something like give a short story, just a couple of sentence. I can't talk. You have a couple of sentences describing, hey, in the last week I worked with a client who, or this is what I did for one of my clients. Those kind of stories are awesome. So you get to the end of this. I'm going to go back here. And you're at the point that your whole speech has been leading up to. If you've done a good job, and if there's somebody there who's a good fit for you, by now they should be getting really curious. They should want to talk with you a little bit further. All of your listeners should find themselves thinking of people they need to refer to you. And at the very least, they should be able to remember enough to have you come to mind later when a need arises. That's awesome. So the way you kind of wrap this up, have a closing question. So if you're in a networking setting where you're talking with people one-on-one, do your elevator pitch, and then turn it around and ask them. So what do you do? Don't keep talking. If you've been a session where the person who's running it says, okay, so we want everybody to take a couple minutes and talk, and person number one talks for a minute and then switch. You get to the 2 minutes and the other person's still going. They won't shut up. Who's going to want to do business with that person?
Right.
So go ahead, give a great elevator pitch, but wrap it up, and then ask them, what do you do? What do you do? If you're talking to a group, it can be really good to give a call to action. What do I mean by a call to action? Well, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to go visit your website? Are you offering a deal? Do you have a special? Are you offering a free consultation to people? Basically, anytime you talk about your business, you should always have a call to action. Always have a call to action. Always have an offer. Something. The closing question might be, you want to continue the conversation. You're having a good time talking with this person. You might just say, hey, why don't we go grab a cup of coffee? Or is there a time in the next week that would be good for you to do that? Sometimes we push a little, if we're in, a lot of people offer free consultations, and sometimes we push too hard to try to jump to the point where we feel like we can make a presentation. But a lot of times what people really want is a little bit more relational first. Depending on our business, of course. So maybe the next step is just, like I say, continue the conversation. Go have a cup of coffee. And here's one that is really cool. This works extremely well, and that is to have a power question. Something already prepared. You've worked on it. You've memorized this. A power question is something that is going to start them thinking about a problem you solve, phrased so that their answers play to your unique strengths. So, what do I mean by that? If you, let's say that you're really good at working with people, I'll just use myself, because I work with people usually to help them set up a marketing plan. So, I want to know, have they been frustrated with any particular marketing tools? Is there something they've been looking to try that hasn't really worked out for them? Is there something they would like to learn how to do with their marketing? All of those, when they answer those, they're going to, I'm not telling them anything, but they're going to start thinking in terms of, well, maybe he can help me with that. Oh, he would do that for me? And they're thinking about the things that they're thinking along the lines that I would prefer, that they think about me and my business about. So some other examples might be, are you using, some form of the product or service you sell? Maybe it's one of your competitors or something. Do you have any experience with whatever product and service you're selling? What do you like about whatever they're currently using? What's something you'd like to improve about whatever product or service they're using? All of those things are going to get them thinking about how you might be able to help them. They're going to raise more questions in their minds that they can turn around and fire back at you, which is what you want. You want to get into a conversation with folks. So, how do you put this all together? Here is a pretty cliched, formulaic outline for a elevator pitch that at least allows you to see all these elements put together. And by the way, if I'm ever at a networking meeting and I hear you actually give this pitch, I will kill you. Believe it. So I'm Steve with Snap. I'm passionate about helping my passionate about helping my clients solve the problem of marketing. I love it that my clients usually experience new clients within 30 days. You could think of me as kind of like a guide through the jungle of marketing your small business. And I get those results from my clients by the way I work with them one-on-one to coach, consult, connect, and contract on projects that are important for them. An ideal client for me is a small business owner who really loves what he does, but what he does best is not marketing. And I currently am offering a free 30 to 60 minute free consultation for anybody who would just like some free marketing advice. So that would be an example.
Very nice.
How can you know if the elevator pitch you put together is working?
Your business?
Well, now one clue, yes. So, do your listeners know exactly what you do? Now, don't assume this. Because I go to a lot of groups, and maybe you do too, where I've heard the same person share on several occasions. I still don't know what they do. You don't be one of those people who you assume that everybody understands what you're talking about, but you know what? We get too close to our business. We see it all the time. We love it. We love all the all the details. We think people understand what we're talking about. Well, a lot of times they don't. So if you have any concerns about this, I would challenge you to sometime after you give a pitch, or maybe just meet somebody for coffee and say, let's help one another out with this. Give your pitch and then ask them, what do you think I do exactly?
I got to agree with you 100% on this one, Sean. Steve, I'm so sorry. Steve, too many times I think some of the categories like financial planners, realtors, or even the insurance people, I think everybody knows what I do. In fact, I don't know how many times they're there to do their 30-second commercial, and they said, "Oh, you guys already know what I do, and I'm boring." I mean, they don't do the same as everybody else. So this is very important, and I just wanted to mention, not just for entrepreneurs, but when people do the same thing as a lot of them out there, it's more important to tell what you do and what you do. Because just because you're an insurance agent doesn't mean you write life insurance all day long.
That's right. Another thing is, do they have a clear mental image in their mind of who your ideal or your favorite client is? Who do you help? Okay. Does your audience understand that? For example, I work typically with solopreneurs or small businesses of, say, 10 employees or less. They usually don't have a marketing department. They don't consider themselves professional marketers or salespeople. They usually have sales of $1 million or less. I've worked with bigger, but that's typical. Now, and usually they're professionals. Who do you work with? Does your audience know the results that you get? What is it you deliver for people? If you sit down with somebody who listened to your elevator pitch and they don't know if they can't answer these 3 questions, you got some work to do. And honestly, most of us have some work to do. It's very easy to get complacent about how we present ourselves, but you know what? We're leaving money on the table when we don't work at this. So here's some tips. First of all, write out your talk. Memorize it. Go ahead and put it on a 3x5 card. You know what? The most successful small business owners and salespeople that I've known have done this. They carry this card around with them. One of the best guys I ever worked with would review his pitch practically every time he gave it. He would pull it out of his binder. He would look at it. He would rewrite it, but he had it there. And then memorize it. People say, "Oh, I don't need to memorize it. I know my story." You think so? What's really interesting is people, when they have written it down, they get, they memorize it, and then a few months later, 6 months later, whatever, they dig it out, and maybe they quit looking at it and they find it again in their binder or whatever. They pull it out and they look at it and they go, "Oh, I've really gotten away from this."
Oh yeah.
when I was doing that, what I had written down, that was working great. What I've been doing lately, come to think of it, not so much. So go ahead, write it out, memorize it, practice it. But you also want to be conversational, natural, fresh. I'm sorry. So how can you be practiced and memorize this and also be conversational? Well, it does take some work, but if you're comfortable with what you're going to talk about, and theoretically, this is what you do all day, right? You're talking about a client that you helped just this week or last week. You should know this. It might take a little bit of work, but work at making it conversational. See if you can make it relevant to your audience. If you know in advance who you're talking to, whether it's one person or a room full of people, is there a way of explaining what you do, or an example of a client that you've worked with that would be more relevant, more interesting to them? And if there is, try to hit that spot in the middle where you're talking about what they care about. And the last thing is have fun, because getting the opportunity to talk about your business, it's not only a gift to you, but it's also a gift to the people in the room and the people that you can help. So don't hesitate to just enjoy this and have a great time. So I hope that this has been helpful. If you want to contact me, if you get a chance to download those notes, there's contact information on that worksheet. But I wonder if there's anybody who's got questions, anything that we can talk about.
Sure. You got me on there, Steve. Leo asks about asking, what do you dislike the most? Is that okay to ask potential clients? I know Leo Potts. He's in the Seattle area, and he's in the travel industry.
Sure. You can ask that. That can be a good question. What's your experience been? What do you I would want to probably ask what they like as well as what they don't like. But knowing something that knowing something that has really ticked off a client in the past can help you understand. I don't think I want to do that. I'm going to stay away from those things that I know that they don't like.
Oh, good. That's great. And Angela said, "Thank you. This has been incredibly helpful."
Cool. Good.
Yeah, and I think it has. It's a great. You take them through, or all of us, through a system of creating our elevator pitch. So yeah. I think it's great.
I really liked how you had those 3 points. If you can't answer these 3 things, well, then you're not doing it right. And you made it very simple, and that was very nice. That was great.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, well, we do have time. If anybody else has any questions, be sure and write them in. Oh, is there a filled-out version of the worksheet? Being wants to know.
Why would you want that?
Yeah, I know, really.
Were
That's
you
cheating.
not kidding? There can be. If somebody wants that, I don't have the link for that up. Why don't you get me, if you did download it, there is the contact information there. If you contacted me, I would send you a completed one.
Okay, great. That's very helpful. Thanks, Steve. Okay, Shane says, I love this. Will this be recorded and made available for later review? Everybody who has signed up will get the automatic replay later on today, and it comes through Webinar Jam. So, and you can listen to it as often as you want after that. I think that's it.
Yeah, incredible, helpful. I learned so much. It's just amazing. Thank you so much, Steve.
Yeah, thank you.
I love doing this kind of stuff.
It's amazing. James, I was just going to say, being in the business for so many years, so many people will just say the same thing over and over, it is so boring, or you just. And we had a financial advisor. He was a member for a year, and nobody, I guess, would come and never even understood what it was he did. So that is so important to have a good elevator pitch. So thank you, Steve.
No, you're 100% right, Becky. And I don't know how many times people have misunderstood people in the groups because they can't talk clearly, or because somebody else told them they did something else that they probably did as a favor or something. A lot of people come to our B2B groups because of this, because they'll go into a B2C group. They'll let's say they're a web manager. They'll walk into the B2C group as a web manager, and they'll say, yeah, I manage websites for companies. All of a sudden, they get a call from Grandma saying, my computer's broke. Come on over. Oh. So you're right. You're right on the money. You got it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sorry about my camera. It's not working today. I don't know why.
And Linda Alberino says thank you so much. Lynn says thank you, and Bean, I think is how it's pronounced. Great, thanks. So you got a lot of great feedback. So thanks, Steve. I appreciate it. Well, good. Well, James, do you have any other questions before we end?
No, I got to say I take the lead. It's an awesome group. I hope the people on this call look out, reach out to Becky in Oregon, James in Denver, Jean in Washington, and please come and see a meeting if you've never been to one.
Absolutely.
Well, I can echo that. I've been a member of I Take the Lead for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years at this point, and have really enjoyed my participation, the opportunities, and the people that I've met. And that's why I'm still hanging around and willing to do stuff like this. Check it out.
Well, thanks, Stephen. And if only everybody understood how difficult it was to get you on the call, because we kept doing practice runs. I think 3 or 4 times we had to do this to try to get you on it. So I really appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate you. Thanks so much, Steve.
And who do we have coming next week, Becky?
Oh, next week is Danielle Ross. She's out of Portland. She's also a marketing coach. Totally different, different from what you do, Steve. She does like mastermind groups, and she's going to be talking about, I don't remember, but it will go out tonight, and it's going out on Meetup as well today. So.
It's gonna go in. It's gonna go in Denver right after I get off the call here too. Also, I just redirected everyone to your Dropbox, your 30-second pitch. I don't know if I did that right or not, but it's supposed to redirect them and ask them to open up a new tab.
I believe so. I tested it and it worked earlier, so it should.
I got it on my Dropbox, so thank you.
Oh, okay, okay.
So once it's opened up, you can right-click on it and save it on your computer anywhere you want.
Well, thank you. That's very, very nice.
Huge. Well, thanks, everybody. This was great. Thanks, Becky.
Okay, thanks, James. Thanks, Steve, again. Bye-bye, everybody.
You're welcome.